Right, so this is the second in the series of the Access course Coffee Mornings, and I am so pleased to invite actually a previous student of both mine and Dana's. This is the wonderful Darcy, who has gone into midwifery, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her journey into midwifery and her amazing achievements already in her career. So Darcy, would you just tell us a little bit about your journey getting to midwifery?
Yeah, so at school, I knew that I wanted to go into some kind of healthcare, but I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. I tried really hard in science, but I wasn't the best. That's very kind. And then went on to college, and I actually did A levels before I did my extended diploma, but I didn't enjoy my A levels. So I then did the BTEC extended diploma in health and social care, which I did for 2 years. Still wasn't sure whether I wanted to do midwifery or nursing. The college said to me nursing was much easier to get into. So they tried to get me to go down that route. But I said, actually, I don't want to be a nurse. I want to be a midwife. And so I kind of went about it my own way, really, and emailed lots of different people to try and get some experience, and applied for midwifery. So I started my midwifery degree in 2017, which was really good, really fun. And I did it in Portsmouth, trained at QA for the 3 years, and then qualified in February 2020. And went straight into a job within the trust that I trained at, and have been there ever since, really.
That's amazing. And actually, you would February 2020. Okay, that's quite a poignant year for all of us. So we went straight into lockdown. How was that? You just qualified. How did you?
Yeah, it was mental. It was absolutely crazy because you normally get that kind of nice ease into it, and it kind of, yeah, nice and gently, and that definitely didn't happen. And because I trained at the trust, they knew what we were capable of already, so we were kind of just chucked in at the deep end, really, and they just hoped that we swam. So for the whole 3 years of my career, really, bar the last 6 months, it was all masks and COVID. So we were upskilled very quickly. Normally you wouldn't start cannulating straight away, and some of the skills that are a bit higher level, but we were kind of within 6 weeks on our own doing it all, and caring for COVID patients at the same time. Which I think in hindsight was probably a good thing, because I definitely built my confidence up so much better, because I just had to do it. I had no choice. And our staffing was so poor because of people going off with COVID and being unwell or being high risk. So yeah, it was difficult, but it was amazing. I mean, qualifying in a pandemic is probably something that, not everyone can say.
Baptism of fire. And also,
yeah,
trust must have had such confidence in you, to actually be like, everyone mucked in, everyone all hands on deck, and actually you're going to have to, be expected to do more than new midwives would normally. They must just have an incredible confidence and trust in you. But I guess that's built from where you trained with them already.
Yeah. So I think we were really lucky, or I was really lucky, that I got the job at the trust that I trained in. So I knew everyone, they knew what I was capable of, and I just get on with it. And they know that. So
how did you line up that job? Because obviously that's really exciting. So you'd already secured the job before you'd even finished your training. How did that come about?
So they always recruit when they know that we're coming up to finishing our degree. I was the final cohort where we qualified in February, whereas now they've brought it back to the September. But they always release jobs in February. So we knew that they would come about. We still had to interview for them in the same way. We still had to apply for them in the same way, and it was like a blind application, so they didn't know who they were taking on to interview. And they'd give you a lot of techniques and tips, and we knew what they wanted, and they wanted us, I suppose. So there was a group of probably about 10 of us that trained there and then got a job there too.
That's really helpful. And I guess that's part of the course leaders and the mentors role. Once you're at university anyway, they'll support you with your interview technique, your writing your personal statement, will they?
Yeah. So we had a lot of support from the university, a lot of support from our like practice education team within the trust, within maternity. My mentors were really good. So my mentor that I had within the main unit when I was training has just joined as a lecturer at Bournemouth University in midwifery, and she was very academic based, so it was very good having her on board.
Edith was very excited about that then. She was I completely endorse that. So there's lots of useful tips for anyone who's thinking of going down the midwifery course already. But then tell us about your journey since then. So you've spent 3 years in very unusual situations, starting with a pandemic, moving into, living with COVID. What other sort of things have you been up to in your career?
So when I qualified in February 2020, I just spent the first year kind of finding my feet, getting used to being a midwife. You start on a band 5 level, and then within that year you gain a lot of skills, so that when that year is up, you then go up a banding to a band 6. So that happened in January 21, and at the same time I thought it would be a really good idea to commence a master's. So I then started a master's in leadership and management in health and social care, which I'm still doing because I'm doing it part-time. And then I got my band 6 in the February. Did I? Yeah, the February 21. And then was just a senior midwife kind of within the unit for a year. And then April last year, I got a temporary job as a band 7 midwifery sister. So I lead labour ward and I coordinate the unit, which is great.
That's incredible, Darcy. And this is like incredibly proud teacher moment, my heart. But so I'm not that old. So obviously you've been in your career for 3 years. Is it common for someone to go up to band 7 in that short period?
No, I don't really know how I've managed it. I don't know how I did it. It wasn't really in my plan to step up so quickly. So I'm only 25 at the moment. So I was 23 when I got 24 when I got the job as a band 7. And I'm the youngest band 7 they've ever had, because it just doesn't really happen. It takes a long time to get to that point. But I started stepping up kind of as the halfway through my band 6 and just carried on from there really, and then got made permanent in December. So I'm just a permanent member of the team now as a band 7.
That is incredible. And actually, don't play that down. That is due to your absolute hard work, your resilience, your additional study, because the pressure, I did my master's part-time while I was still working full-time. And that is an incredible workload on top of...
Oh, it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard. Especially because I now manage a team. I have a team below me, so I have to do appraisals, and they've just given me the role as a sickness manager, so I'm also managing everybody's sickness within our main unit. So keeping on top of it all is a lot.
But that just again shows the confidence that your trust have in you. I guess they saw you train, they saw you develop, they saw you then choose to become a lifelong learner and opt for more education, and then they saw you being successful, and then they rewarded that and put a lot of trust in you, which is incredible.
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been a real journey, but it's been amazing. I wouldn't ever do anything different. I love it. Absolutely love it.
That is such a lovely message to our students, because of course lots of our students are on a journey. Lots of them have lots of commitments, so you know, various commitments of having to work alongside study, manage, you know, family life around students as well. So it's so lovely to hear that, you know, at the end of that, you know, complete your access course after a year, complete your midwifery qualification at university, but then actually you can have lots of success in a short amount of time, and you still love it. You're working incredibly hard and you still love it.
Yeah, and it is manageable. I think if you want to do it, you make it work. It does. It's hard. It's no easy ride, and you've got to put in a lot of time and effort. But I think you have to do that with anything anyway. So it's amazing. It's a really good job to have, but it's definitely hard.
Amazing. And so I guess for our students, what would be your top tip? So they're going into their midwifery degrees. Some of them will be starting in September. Some of them will be looking for the following year. What's your top tip to them?
Probably just take it as it comes. Like, if you get offered experience, take it. If you can find some experience within that field of work, or like, albeit anything, working on reception or shadowing people, just anything that gives you that feel into what a day in the life is, or just kind of knowing that it's not going to be the same every day. You're going to have long shifts, you're going to work, you're going to have to work hard, but actually at the end of it, you've got a really amazing career and you'll never be out of a job. you always need a midwife. So I think just putting in the work when you're studying really, really works.
Amazing. And I love that idea of while you're training, like seeing other people's roles and how it all plays into things. Because actually there is that, I mean, when I had my babies, you know, seeing that collaborative, amazing team partnership between you all, it's seamless.
Yeah, it's so important. I think some people forget that. I think, like with our support workers, we see students kind of come in and sort of undervalue them a little bit because they're not midwives, but actually without them, we wouldn't have a functioning unit. So, and I always say to my students, but they're part of us. That's what we've got to appreciate to be able to do our role. And I've carried that through as a band 5, as a band 6, as a band 7. So I'll happily clean a room, or because I don't think anything's below, you know, nothing's below me. I'm one of them.
And then just one final point, because I did notice, obviously we've stayed in touch, and I did notice that you even had, I know that singing was one of your passions, wasn't it, when you were at school? And I did notice that you guys did some singing during the pandemic, didn't you? Tell me about that.
Yeah, we did. So we just tried to make it a little bit fun, and you know, things were scary in the pandemic, and people were worried about coming into the unit and coming into contact with COVID, and we all had masks on and things like that. So trying to implement some kind of fun towards something that's a bit scary onto our social media really helped just help the women come in and them not be scared of us. So we did, for International Day of the Midwife, we did a little song that I wrote and sung, and then we had midwives come into that. And then we did one for Christmas not the Christmas just gone, but the Christmas before, which I also sung, just to show that we're human. Like, you know, we come across a bit scary sometimes, but we're human, and that's all we are really, and we're here to help them.
That is so lovely, because I think you're completely right. During the pandemic, it was a really scary time, and actually showing that human side, what a lovely part of your community leadership, you know, making sure people are comfortable and engaged.
Yeah, it and I think it made a real difference, and people would come in and they say, oh, I've seen your video, and that made a difference. That was what we, you know, that's what we wanted to get at, really. So yeah,
That is so lovely. And then we'll finish up here. Have you got any final message to those future midwives?
I think just enjoy it. Enjoy the training, because you're never going to get the holidays again like that. And just give it your all. Just try everything, because that's how you're going to learn. So I think just giving it a go and seeing how it goes and putting yourself forward for things. I'm someone that's not got very much confidence, and I've excelled in my career, so anything's possible.
Really have flourished. Thank you so much, Darcy. I really appreciate this. And I'm looking forward to inviting you back for future sessions.
Yeah, I can't wait. Anytime.